We start with the studs here on this slate, but we have two players over 10K, so we'll talk about our 9K plus guys here. Damian Lillard versus Detroit. He's 9K on DraftKings, but he's only 8,100 on FanDuel. It's an average matchup at best. Detroit is only marginally below average in FanDuel points allowed to, above average to the point guard, efficiency to the point guard. And in the last 10, they've actually allowed a lot of points. So 12% above average on the season. It's not a great trend. On the recent form, it has been a decent trend. Lillard's been very consistent in the numbers, which is why you say, okay, cheap price on FanDuel, 8,100, kind of an average matchup that's been trending badly lately, or trending, good for opposition lately. I could get into this. An 8,100 for him is a very, very nice price tag. He's been consistent, 42 fantasy points on the year, and in the last 5, he's averaged the same, 42 with 1.2 fantasy points per minute. So 24, 4, and 7 just seems to be the numbers for him, and we're not going to really change that. At that price, you're fine with it. I mean, he does have a ceiling. I don't know if he shows a ceiling here. This is a mediocre total. It's mediocre pace game. I don't know. I don't know if this is a ceiling opportunity, but it does feel like a very high floor game based on how things have been going against the point guard recently with that 12% boost over above average they've allowed. So, yeah, Goran Dragic had 53, which is craziness, just craziness. So Dame definitely in play at that price. At shooting guard, you have two options here that are pretty expensive and interesting. It's Oladipo versus Beal. Now, Oladipo now questionable with that illness. If Oladipo doesn't go, give me Bradley Beal. Really, that's really kind of one of the A-B things that I'm doing here, right? But Oladipo versus Washington, 9,300 on FanDuel, 84 on DK. I don't know how I feel about the price, to be honest with you. Washington and Beal, they've been top 10 DVP all year. He's currently 8th in the league. He's been less consistent of late, but he's still showing that ceiling. You had one outing of 23, and then you had a 52. You have a lot of guys with ceiling on this slate, but also really, really rough floors, like Depot, Jokic, all those guys that, can win you a tournament if they show up, but you don't have a lot of consistency, which is part of the reason why an 8K Damian Lillard, who's very consistent, is very interesting. He's been fine in the last 4, average of about 24 real-life points, 30% usage. He has to score more than 20 points here, and I don't know. I think he can score 20 against Beal. My question is there profit potential in that price? I don't know if there is. I don't know. You're asking him for well over 45 points. That's a big number from Oladipo. Decent total, but Bradley Beal has been very good. So every wing that he has faced in the last 10 has been under 25 points, except for DeMar DeRozan. Now, elite wing, 45 points from DeMar DeRozan. I don't know. Beal versus Indy. If Oladipo can't go, okay, 8,400, 8,900 on DK. I love the price on FanDuel. That is still, you're asking Beal for over 40. That's not that crazy, especially with the way he's been playing. And the interesting thing is that, you would say to yourself, well, he's been doing more scoring. He hasn't. He's been doing more fantasy scoring because he's taken a huge bump in assists and rebounds. He's like +3 in assists and +3 in rebounds in the last couple games. And the scoring has been very steady, about 24 or 25 points per game. But he's now up to like 7 assists, 7 rebounds a game. He's been insane. 10 points above his season average. He's averaged 48, and he's been very consistent in that rather than Oladipo, who, we know is swinging from 50 to 25. Beal has been very consistent, tight range of outcomes above 30 points. I think he has a much more clear floor, and at a better price, I like the floor plus price combination of Beal a little bit more than I like Oladipo. Especially if Oladipo is only half speed. If he's got the flu or he's out, love it. The whole John Wall thing is really interesting because he has the same usage, same raw points. He's just creating more, and it's a real testament to Bradley Beal's game. Like, that he's able to create assists and rebounds without John Wall there is really interesting. Small forward, nothing. Small forward is an absolute fucking disaster on this slate, and it makes you not want to play this slate. Anyway, it'd be nice if we just had, like, LeBron. You know, you'd be like, oh, click. Who cares? I don't have to think about it. I just have LeBron. Power forward. Well, sorry. Center. I used to talking about AD at power forward. I wrote him under power forward, but he's not. He's now center on FanDuel, which makes this annoying. It's annoying, frankly, because you used to have a situation where you would have a power forward spot that you could use that was unique. You could use a stud 11K when power forward was bad. Power forward's very deep today, so you don't really have to worry about that, but I really don't like that AD has now moved to center, because center, I liked having AD and a stud center in my lineup at times. But let's go down. I mean, Blake is there. I don't love the matchup with Portland. They're a good rebounding team. I don't mind it, but I do think he's going to slow down here soon. I just don't necessarily think that we're going to see this continued, serious production from him. And we started to see it in the Miami game, right? I mean, 37 fantasy points, relatively inefficient, shooting 30% from the field. That's Blake. Like, high usage, sort of inefficient. That's it. So, let's look somewhere else. Let's look towards the center position here. And I started talking about Anthony Davis versus Utah. He's 11-7, 11-2 on DK. On the season, this is one of the worst matchups on the slate. Gobert is a problem. He is. The whole team defense is a problem. But we've seen some big numbers lately, and it really makes you turn your head. Drummond put up like a 80, and Jonas Valanciunas put up like 45. Weird. I can't really explain it except for to think that, maybe Gobert isn't full health, or because the season is, not a playoff season, that they're not actually playing as good a defense, or they're trying something out. I have no idea. I don't know what to make of him. 55 plus points in this situation seemed very reasonable considering what he's done in each of the last 5 games without Boogie. But it's still, like, by the numbers, not a very good matchup. But as far as the slate goes, there's not really that many guys that you want to pay for, and you trust Anthony Davis, right? I mean, I know a lot of people out there go, trust Anthony Davis. He's always injured. Oh, great. Thank you for your insight. Yes. But as far as being one of the most elite offensive players in basketball, that's why I trust him. I mean, he's an elite talent, and we don't have that many elite talents on this slate. We have Andre Drummond, Anthony Davis, Damian Lillard, Nikola Jokic. So, and Beal and Depot, right? And one of them is questionable. So you don't have that much elite talent to pick from. So you kind of trust, if there's anybody on this slate who puts up a 50 burger, AD would not be surprising, even against Utah. So that's kind of how you think about it. But I don't know. Do you have to have him? No. It's about how your roster build goes. And there's a lot of I just got a text from my brother-in-law that just said, I'm just watching the post-game press conference on Brady just to see him complain. It's great. It's just spoken like a true Eagles fan. He's just watching Brady complain and just smiling, which also indicates that he's not at work, that he's on the couch watching Brady. Good for you, buddy. He's a very happy young man. Drummond versus Portland. This is the same thing as AD. It's a mediocre matchup, and he's been really good lately. I just think you're going to get some regression here. Portland has a lot of bodies down there, a decent rebounding team, a lot of size. The thing is he's with Blake, in the last 5, and they've only played 2 games together, but in the last 5, he's averaged 1.59 fantasy points. He said double-digit rebounds and over 45 points in both of the games with Blake out there. So if your thought was, well, it's going to hurt his rebounding upside, well, not really. I mean, it hasn't. He has a higher floor than a lot of guys. So you feel like what kind of return you're going to get the way he's playing this season. You're probably going to get 40+. I don't really see Portland stopping him from a path to a double-double. Do I see them limiting his ceiling? Yes, I do see that. So that's a complicated part. That's why I'm saying it's very similar to the AD matchup. You don't really have a ceiling here, but you do feel like you have a solid floor based on what you've seen of late. Jokic versus Charlotte. Center is really deep. It's really deep. This is a negative matchup as well. All of these guys, none of these high-priced centers have a solid matchup. But Jokic is ridiculous. I mean, he had a 28-point game, and then he came out and he put up 72-point triple-double against Oklahoma City. And that's a terrible matchup. The efficiency numbers hate front court against Oklahoma City. What does he do? He smashes them. He goes for 72. Triple-double potential. Charlotte, in general, it's a bad matchup. Right? Good rebounding team. They don't foul a lot. It's hard to project Jokic's usage. You don't know when he's going to show up. You don't know when he's going to, just not take enough, take 10 shots. It's weird. So he's tournament only option. He's been that way all year, and I really haven't played him very much, to be honest with you. Dwight versus Denver, same thing, but he's cheaper now. He's 8,800 on FanDuel, so that's fine. But Denver has been an even better rebounding team than a lot of these guys out here. And what do you do? I don't know if you can pay for him. I don't know if if you're choosing between Dwight Howard and Bradley Beal, there's 9 times out of 10 I'm going Bradley Beal in this situation just because of the way he's been playing, his consistency, the matchup, etc. So I don't really love Dwight versus Denver. Those are your high-priced guys. That's it. That's how this slate breaks out. It's weird. It's lopsided at certain positions. And there's some inconsistency. There doesn't feel like any smash spots. You're not getting any really high-floor stud-type plays. So you're going to have to make some decisions about the way you want to build and who you want to build around.